Hi there, this is Srikanth. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about the very basics of structure declaration in a global way. I mean the global structure variable declaration here. Okay, so there is a difference between declaring a structure variable globally and locally. So let's look into that point here. So first, let me launch the IDE. So we know that we are using Visual C++ 2005 Express Edition. Let me create a new project here. So find new project, empty project, all the standard procedure. Let me say that struct global, the name of the project, whatever you wanted, you can have it. Okay. So and then let me create a new .c file. Let's say global struct.c. Okay. So let me add all the basic stuff like hello files, stdio.h and hash include conio.h. Okay. So first let us put the main function, and then let's define our structure. So all the basic stuff you are familiar with, and it gets here. Okay. So now let's have a structure here. So let's say type def struct. Let's have the name of the structure as employee. Okay. And let's end our structure with emp since we have used the type def here. Okay. So let's have our fields inside the structure members as three members. One is int emp number. It's going to be int. Let's say char name. So typically every employee has a name, a number, and a float with salary here. Okay. So all the basic we have a structure built up here for employee, and then we have three different structure members here. Okay. So let's have the title here, global declaration. Global declaration of a structure variable. Okay. So this comes into scenario when you are using a function here. Okay, so already we are familiar with functions. So if you have any doubt in how to define a function and declare and call them, so you can watch the previous videos which were made specifically to know about the syntax of functions here. Okay, so here the main difference between the global declaration of a structure variable and the local declaration comes into the picture when we are dealing with the functions here. Okay, so if you have a function here, let's say void print emp details. Okay, so whatever you wanted, you can have a small function here. So this function, if it needs to access the data, whatever it's stored inside the structure variable. So if you do until now we are defining a structure variable inside a main function here, something like this here. Okay, if you say emp e1, and you can have some data of your structure like emp number is equal to 1. I'm just filling the data or assigning some data into the structure variable e1. Let's say my name Srikanth. Let's have some salary. Some sal is equal to some 1 lakh. Okay. So if we have just declared a variable local declaration, let's say something like this, local declaration. So if you declare local and global, the difference is if you declare a structure variable inside a main function, so that becomes a local declaration. So if you do the same thing outside the main, it defines it becomes a global declaration here. Okay, it's local declaration of structure variable. Okay, so if you have a local declaration like this, and if you use a function, and now if you say something like this, okay, since our intention is to print the details of the employee, so if you say something like this, so printf the emp number, or else let's say a specific message here, the employee number is equal to %d. Okay, and if we say e1.emp number, okay, so if you say e1.emp number, and in the same way if you have the printf for other statements here, the employee name is equal to percentage, all the age old stuff here. Okay, so employee name is equal to percentage yes, e1 dot name. Okay, so printf slash and slash team. So all the basic stuff, just printing that the salary he gets. So whatever the message you want, you can have is equal to percentage f comma e1 dot sell. Okay, so if you do something like this, and if you just run your program, so this is not going to work obviously here, because the variable to the structure employee which is e1 has been declared locally here. Okay, so what our function which is defined after the main function, and the scope of the variable employee variable e1 is just to this block. Okay, so only just to this main block here. So even though you have defined the structure globally, so you haven't declared the variable of it globally here. Okay, so that's the reason our program is not going to work here. So if you do the same thing, if you just comment it out the whole thing, and if you declare your variable above the main as globally here. Okay, so if you do something like this, and if you run your program, and it will work fine. Okay, so although you're not getting the output here, that's because we have done a silly mistake of not calling the function here. We have just defined a function and we haven't called it here. Print emp details. Okay, so now so here you have just call the function. Small error here. Also print emp details. I have just made printf here. Okay, again redefinition, print emp details, it's correct. Okay, maybe the problem is that it doesn't have a prototype here. Let's put a prototype at the beginning. Okay, so it works now. Okay, so let's make our screen a bit bigger such that it's viewable. I'm just changing the font, so I could have done this before the tutorial has started, adjusting all the screens and all, and so on and so forth. Let me adjust the color also to make it beautiful. Black background white here. Okay, so if you observe here, the program worked perfect. So whatever the details we are intended to drop into the structure variable e1, we have dropped them, and using the function we have print some details. Okay, and we have accessed the variable. Let's have a comment here, declaring structure variable global. Okay, so if at all you want to access the structure throughout all the functions, and you need, the only way you can do it is by declaring the structure variable globally. That means that you need to declare the variable, the structure variable beyond the main function. Okay, so if you declare any variable above the main function, it becomes the global variable. So such that in that way, so you will be able to access the whatever the data you can store in the structure. Okay, you can use it. So the only reason we have made a structure variable globally, emp e1, and then we have accessed inside our main for assigning the data, and we have accessed the same structure variable inside another function, using a printf function to display the values here. Okay, so in the same way you can take another function, like let's say void get emp details. Okay, so let's take another variable. Let's take another global structure declaration. Let's say emp and e2. Okay, so let's say get employee details, get emp details. Okay, so another function, just I am defining it. So we can, in this way, since we have taken another emp structure variable e2, okay, So I'm defining another function to get the details, or to get E2 employee E2 details using a function here. Okay, so let me say a printf statement here, slash and slash t. So let's say clear cut message here. Let's say the employee enter the details of employee 2. Okay, so enter the details of employee 2. Since we have taken our intention is to, okay, since it's E2 variable. Okay, so let's say, okay, so let's say so enter the name of the employee. Okay, so scanf percentage yes ampersand E2 dot name. Okay, so in the same way you can have you can scan all the details. So enter the employee number. Okay, scanf percentage d E2 dot emp number. Okay, so in the same way you can have the salary also. Enter the employee salary. Percentage f comma ampersand E2 dot cell here. Okay, so here so let's be more meaningful here. So since we are grabbing the details of emp2 variable E2, so let's assume that employee 2 here. So that's the reason I have changed the definition as emp2 details. Okay, so for the employee 1 details we have just assigning. Okay, so let's write a comment here, assigning the structure, assigning the E1 employee 1. Okay, employee E1 details. Okay, so first employee we have just assigned the values directly, and for the second global variable structure variable we have just grabbed the data using the user input here. Okay, so if you call the function let's say print emp details to here. Okay, so what could we do? Let's call the function here. So let's say let's put a prototype first for this. It's getting complicated. Let's put a prototype, and then let's call the function. Okay, and then what could we do here is let's have another function here. So it's trying to be a bit messy. So print emp2 details. So whatever you wanted, you can have the names, silly sounding. You can just grab all the printf content here. Since they're all the same, if you change the name of the variable, it's going to work here for you. Okay, so if we just say E2 dot emp number, E2.name, and E2.salary, it's going to work here. Okay, so in the same way you can have a prototype for this function, printf emp2 details. Prototype is just having the name, function name with followed by a semicolon, and you can call the function to get it executed here. Okay, so remove the void and you can call it here. Okay, so run your program. We have an error here. Oh, we have missed a semicolon in function calling. So run the program. So here you have just printed the employee 1 details here. Okay, it has just printed the employee 1 details, and then it's asking for enter the details for employee 2. Okay, so now we can enter some data to your employee 2, like let's say a name like Ganesh. Okay, can have some employee ID or number. Had a problem here, break. So what could be the problem? You do not all silly sounding mistakes we do as a programmer. We are not supposed to actually. So let's stop the debugging. We have missed the ampersand here. That's the silly mistake I have done. Let's run the program once again. So it already the first one it just prints the details. So since we have called the function print emp details, it has assigned all the values into E1 employee global employee variable declaration E1 and just prints the details. Okay, and then it calls the function get emp2 details since we have another employee variable E2, and it just jumps to that definition here and it just grabs all the input from the keyboard. So that's what it's doing there. So get out of go to the output window, and it's asking for all the employee details for employee 2, excuse me. So we can say something like this, Ganesh, and we can have an employee number 2, and you can have some salary, let's say 50,000 odd. So and then it prints all the data like employee number 2 and employee salary is 50,000 and its employee number again 2. So we might have done some mistake here in the printing function. Let's go back, break, doing all the silly mistakes. Since we have just copied the functions there, first let me stop the debugging here and then go and arrange this correctly. So e2.emp number, so name, e2.name, float, salary. So everything is good here. Print emp2 details, name, number, name, e2.name, and e1 dot. Okay. So employee number is this, employee name is e2.name, and salary he gets is e2.salary. So that's what we have done here. e2.salary, e2.emp number. Right. So let's run once again. So let's say Ganesh and number 1 and salary is some 50,000 and odd here. It's breaking unexpectedly. Maybe there is a problem here. Let's stop the debugging, and this could be the problem. Let's arrange the thing in the same order that we have done in the previously. Let's enter the data once again. EMP 2, salary is some 50,000 and odd. So here we are unable to print the data for some reason. So what could be the problem here? Enter the details. Maybe you're not putting the same thing in the order where EMP number is supposed to be first one. Maybe that's the problem here. Okay, it could not be the problem also all the time. Say Ganesh, and let's sell this some 5,000 and odd, and we are having a problem. e2.name percentage yes, e2.name name e2.name percentage. Oh my goodness, we need not use what a silly mistake I have done here. We need not use the ampersand for name thing while we are getting. So that's getting a little bit messy here. Okay, so let's what we do is get emp details and then print both of them here. Okay, so first let us do one thing. Let's keep that in the down, and let's first grab the input, and then let's have a function here, system in the brackets cls. Okay, so which is used to clear the screen, in Visual Studio environment. Okay, so enter the employee details. So let's say employee number 1. Let's say the employee name is Ganesh. Okay, again it's having a problem. You're wasting a lot of time in so e2.name, maybe because it's a pointer we have taken there. That's the reason it's not allowing us to use this silly thing here. Okay, so maybe we have taken a pointer there, that's the reason. Okay, so I got the problem here. So let's change it as to a normal array, character array here, and let's tackle the problem by using strcpy function here. So string copy, okay, string copy e1.name comma string. Okay, so you're familiar with the strings here, so let's add that header file hash include string.h. okay, and then let's use our so let's the remaining thing be same here. Okay, so strcpy e1.name comma thing. Okay, so now it should work for us. Employee number, let's say 2, and let's say employee name is Ganesh, and salary is some 5,000 and odd. Yes. Okay, so here we have details of employee 1 and employee 2. So let's do one thing. So let's have some information here. So print emp details, let's say emp details, so let's name it as emp1 details. Okay, and let's say something like this, printf. So to be bit more clarity, so how we are, what we are printing here. So let's say, so details of employee 1. Okay, so details of employee 1, and let's say another message here, details of employee 2. So since we have assigned the details of employee 1 by taking the object there, the details, so details of employee 2. Okay, a small message to be to make our output more clear here. Okay, so let's change the calling to print emp1 details. We have messed up a lot our program. emp1 details, get emp2 details, print emp1 details here. Okay, so enter the details for employee 2. Let's run the program once again. So let's say the 2, employee name Ganesh, and employee salary some 50,000 and odd here. Okay, so here you have the details of employee 1, which says that employee number is 1 Srikanth, and this we have got because we have assigned our we have taken a global declaration of e1 variable here, so for employee emp1, and we have assigned the using, since it's a global variable, we can access throughout the program, in the main function as well as in the subsequent functions which we have defined. So we have taken the value, taken the variable e1, and we have to that employee we have assigned the value like employee number, and we have using the strcpy function we have assigned the name as Srikanth, and we have assigned some salary here, and then we have defined a couple of functions to get the value like get emp2 details. So since we have taken another global declaration, let's put the comment at the top of both of these declarations here. Okay. So we have taken another global structure variable, which is emp2. So for that one, we have taken a function to get the details of emp2 using the function here. So in the function, we have just grabbed the input for each and every structure member using the scanf function and printf and scanf, very quite common thing. And we have defined another couple of functions to print both the structure variables, structure data like e1 and e2, which are the global structure variable declarations. And using the print emp1 details, you can just output the data, whatever the stored inside the structure emp1, and using this function, you can display the data of emp employee 2 here. Okay, So this is the basic stuff about the global structure variable declaration and accessing them throughout the function. Okay, so if you forget and define your declare your structure variables within the main, and you will not be able to access them throughout the program and subsequent functions if you define here. Okay, so there is another way to tackle this problem, that's using the structure variable as a function argument, or passing the structure to a function, so which we'll see in the next lesson. So by the time so see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.